The assignment is to do numbers 1 through 11 odd and also 15 and 16. So if you were in my morning classes, I didn't even write that assignment on the board. You don't have to do all of them. If you did, that's great, more practice. But we're only having to do the odd ones. So on all of these, on this worksheet 6.3 WSP, all of them are ready to rock. All of them are ready to cancel. Okay? So remember, it's called elimination method because you want either the x's or the y's to eliminate. Okay? So this is ready to combine. Linear combinations, it's ready to combine. That way the y's cancel. If I say, what is x plus x? What's x plus x? 2x's. How about the negative y with the positive y? What happens? They cancel, they disappear. How about the 1 and the negative 9? Negative 8. If you owe $9 and you only have $1, you're still going to owe $8. And of course, we're going to bring down the equal sign. So what we have right here in blue is a simple one-step equation that says 2x equals negative 8. If you want to get rid of that 2 in front of the x, what do? You divide by 2, divide by 2. So your answer is x equals negative 4. That's one answer. Now you still need the other answer. All you have to do is plug it into any equation of the original, either the x minus y equals 1 or the x plus y equals negative 9. Isaac, pick one, the top one or the bottom one? Top one. Okay, so I'm going to go with the top. The top one says x minus y equals 1. So you're going to plug in negative 4. Instead of x, you're going to write negative 4 because x equals negative 4. So here's x. I put negative 4. Then I'm going to write minus y equals 1. So I'm going to write minus y equals 1. Now some of us might have chosen the bottom equation instead of the top. You still could get to the same answer though. So let me continue solving this equation. I'm going to add 4 because I need to get y by itself. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. It cancels out. What you do to one side, you do to the other side. Your new equation is negative y equals 5. And of course, your final step would be to divide both sides by negative 1 or multiply both sides by negative 1. Either way, your y value is negative 5. So your answer number 1 is negative 4 comma negative 5. Now you could double check by plugging in your x and your y value into both equations. The top equation, checking to see if it gives you 1. The bottom equation, checking to see if it gives you negative 9. But I did write down the answers down here for you, way at the bottom. So number 1 is negative 4, negative 5, which is correct, negative 4, negative 5. If you did number 2, great, but you didn't have to do number 2 because we're doing the odd ones. Let's jump to number 3. Now, most systems on this first page of homework are just ready to combine and cancel. So number 3, is it ready to combine and cancel? Yes. If I were to combine the lines, in other words, if I were to combine this top equation with the bottom equation, what's 4 plus 3? 7, and we're talking about x's. And how about the positive y and the negative y? That cancels out. And it eliminates. That's the whole purpose of this thing, to get a variable to eliminate. So the y's eliminate. We have an equal sign. 23 plus 12, that's 35, yay? So now this blue equation, it's a one-step equation, really easy to solve. So what's my answer going to be, Adrian? That's right, x equals 5. If I divide by 7, x equals 5. So I have one answer. I need the other answer. What do? Plug it into which one, top or bottom? It doesn't matter. So give me, which one, Esteban? Top. 4x, 4, let's put times 5 instead of 4x, and then plus y equals 23. So 4 times 5 is 20, plus y equals 23. Let me zoom in on this, Let me zoom in on this blue equation here. I'm going to get rid of the 20 by subtracting 20. Subtracting 20, y equals 3. So we found the x being 5 and the y being 3. If we check our answer down here, what number was that? Number 3. So x was 5 and y was 3. I'm going to do number 4, even though it's not part of our homework. Hint, hint. Might be on the next test that we take. Let's combine the lines right here. We can't combine, actually, I said combine the lines, but we can't combine them yet because if I combine the lines, 2x and 2x don't cancel out. That's 4x. 5 plus 2 is 7, so nothing cancels. Nothing eliminates. And remember, this section is called elimination method. You want either the x's or the y's to eliminate. So I need to modify one of the equations. I need to get either the x's to cancel or the y's to cancel. Now, there's many roads to the same place. So what do you think is the quickest road to cancel out what? The x's, right? If I wanted to cancel out the y's, this is a positive 5 and this is a positive 2, I would have to change this to what? If I wanted to cancel out y's, I'd have to change this to what? Positive 10 and this one a negative 10, right? Because 2 and 5, the only number you could change them both to is 10. Does that make sense? And we could actually do it that way if we want. If we're bored, we have a lot of time to spare, we could cancel out the y's by changing this to a positive 10y and change this to a negative 10y by multiplying both equations. But obviously the easiest choice would be to cancel out the x's by multiplying one of the equations by what? Negative 1. So my top equation I'm not even going to mess with. I'm just going to rewrite it. So top equation is 2x plus 5y equals negative 3. The bottom equation, I'm going to distribute negative 1 times 2x, that's negative 2x. Negative 1 times 2, that's negative 2y. Negative 1 times 6, that's negative 6. Are you with me? And now we're ready to combine the lines. The x's cancel, and we end up with a new equation that says what? What's my new equation? Combine the 5 with the negative 2y. What do I get? 3y. We get 3y equals negative 9. Yeah. And now we want to get rid of that 3 in front of the y. So we're going to divide by 3, y equals negative 3. Vanessa, how you doing? You got this? Yeah. So we have one answer so far. We still need the other answer. So what do we do, Esteban, to get the other answer? You get that negative 3 and do what with it? You plug it in, either to the top or to the bottom, right? Y is negative 3. You can put the y right here. 2 times negative 3, I'll be a negative 6. Or you could plug it in up here and get a negative 15. So which one do you think is easier? Plugging it in down here or up here? Down there? And you can do any one you want. Okay, I'm going to go with the bottom one. Let me rewrite the bottom one. The bottom one says 2x, so I'm going to rewrite it. 2x plus 2y, but instead of y, I'm going to put this negative 3 right in there. Equals 6. And let me now simplify my equation and then solve it. So I really have 2x plus negative 6 equals 6. And of course you want to get rid of that negative 6 to get the x by itself. X, you want x by itself. You don't want the negative 6. You don't want the 2. So let's get rid of that negative 6 by doing what? Adding 6 plus 6 plus 6. You're going to end up with a new equation. 2x equals 12, which means that when you divide by 2 here and divide by 2 there, x equals what? 6. So my answer to number 4 is 6 comma negative 3. Of course, if you have time, plug them back in to see if it works to double check. Let's move on. Number 5. What should we do? What should we do here? Okay, so let's say I'm totally bored on a Saturday night, right? And let's say I don't care about finishing this problem quickly. Then yeah, if you say cancel out the x's, okay, I could multiply both top equation and bottom equation by what? I would need this if I wanted to cancel out x's, all right? How about this? Don't copy this down. If you're doing this right now, don't copy this down. If I wanted to cancel out x's, this is a 3x. I would need to change this to a positive 12x. And I would need to change this to a negative 12x. Does that make sense? So if I wanted to cancel out x's, because Ismail, you said cancel out x's, right? If I wanted to cancel out x's, I'd have to multiply the top one by positive 4 and the bottom one by negative 3. And that would give me the new equation 12x plus 8y equals negative 4. And the bottom one, negative 12x minus 6y equals positive 18. But you see, that's twice as much work as what you could have done. Okay, you could have decided to cancel out the y's because this is already a 2y, this is a 2y. All you'd have to do is multiply the whole bottom equation by negative 1, and that would make it a negative 2y, which is ready to cancel. But you know what? Since you said cancel out the x's, I'm going to go with it. Okay, I modified the top equation by multiplying it by 4 so I could get a 12 right here, which I did. Then I modified the bottom equation by multiplying by negative 3 to get a negative 12 right there. And now it's ready to combine and cancel the x's. I'll end up with 2y equals 14. Then I'd have to divide by 2, y equals 7. That's one answer. You want the other answer, plug it back into any equation. I'm going to plug it into the top equation. The top equation says 3x plus 2 times y equals negative 1. So I really have 3x plus 14 equals negative 1. And then I would get rid of the 14 by subtracting 14. So I'd end up with 3x equaling negative 15, which means that my final answer would be x equals negative 5. So that was a heck of a lot more work than what was necessary, because what's the quicker path? Instead of canceling out x's, canceling out the two y's. All I have to do to get the y's to cancel is what? Multiply one of the equations by negative 1. So just for funsies here, let's go back and do this whole system over again, but by canceling out the y's. So I rewrote it right there, and I'm going to focus in just on this system. And yeah, the easier path, the better path would be to multiply the bottom equation by negative 1. The top one's going to stay the same. Top one's going to stay the same. It's going to be 3x plus 2y equals negative 1. The bottom one, when you multiply it by negative 1, it's going to be a negative 4x minus 2y equals positive 6. Now look at how much easier this one is. It's now ready to combine and cancel. Your 3 take away 4 is negative 1 of those x's. The 2y and the negative 2y cancel out. Equal sign comes down. 5 is your answer on the right side. Now this is negative 1x, so you're going to have to multiply both sides by negative 1 or divide both sides by negative 1. So you'll get x equals negative 5. See, it's way easier to do it that way. And then you simply plug it back in to find your other answer. So there's my top equation, 3x plus 2y equals negative 1. 3x plus 2y equals negative 1. But in place of x, I want to put the negative 5 right in there. Negative 15 plus 2y equals negative 1. So I would add 15 to both sides. So you get 2y equals 14, which means that when you divide by 2, your y value equals 7. Same exact answer, it's just done a lot faster. So it's better to think about it first, what you want to cancel. Let's take a look at number 7. What's easier to cancel? X's or y's? Y's. And what would I have to do to cancel out the y's? Multiply by what? Negative 1. So let's multiply bottom equation by negative 1. So once again, the top equation is going to stay the same. 5x plus 2y equals 7. The bottom equation, when you multiply everything by negative 1, is going to make everything opposite. So positive 2x minus 2y equals positive 14. And now we're going to combine the lines. You're going to get 7x. This cancels. Equals 28. No, 21. Sorry. We're going to divide by 7. Divide by 7. X equals 3. Let's plug it into the top equation. 5 times x. That's really going to be a times 3. Plus 2y equals 7. 15 plus 2y equals 7. Minus 15 minus 15. 2y equals negative 8. which means y equals negative 4 when you divide both sides by 2.
Yeah.
So your answer is 3 comma negative 4. Man, it's been a long day. Number 9. Is it ready to combine? No. What do I need to do? It is easier to cancel out the d's because all you have to do is change this bottom negative 2d to become positive. Now, if you wanted to cancel out the c's, you'd have to multiply this by 2 to make it a positive 4 to cancel out the negative 4. So it's easier to cancel out the d's, and I'm going to do that once again by putting parentheses around the bottom equation and putting a negative 1 times out there in the front. Now, I need to rewrite the top equation, and then I'm going to change the bottom equation to a negative 2c, a positive 2d, and a positive 14. The negative 1, you distribute it to each and every term. Changes all the signs. Now it's ready to combine. So if I think, what is negative 4c plus negative 2c? That's negative 6c. The negative 2d and the positive 2d, that eliminates. Equal sign comes down. Negative 2 plus 14 is 12. Which means that blue equation, if I divide by negative 6 and divide by negative 6, I get the answer c equals negative 2. That's one answer. I need the other answer. So I'm going to plug it in. I think I'm going to go with the bottom equation. So instead of 2 times c, I want to put the negative 2 that c actually is, right? C equals negative 2. I put that right in here. And then I'm going to rewrite the rest. Minus 2d equals negative 14. So when I go 2 times negative 2, that's negative 4. Bring down the minus 2d equals negative 14. And then I get rid of the minus 4 by doing the opposite. Plus 4, plus 4. I'm going to end up with negative 2d equals negative 10. Final step would be to divide by negative 2, which means that d equals positive 5. D equals positive 5. As an ordered pair, instead of x's and y's, we have c's and d's, kind of like alphabetical order. So it's negative 2 comma 5. That's your answer for number 9. Let's move on to number 11. It's ready to rock. 14x eliminates equals negative 28. Divide by 14. Divide by 14. X equals negative 2. You have one answer. You need the other. All you have to do is plug it back in. I'm going to go with the top one. The top one reads 7x plus 2y equals 2. Again, 7x plus 2y equals 2. I'm going to plug in that negative 2 in there. So I'm really going to have negative 14 plus 2y equals 2. I need to get rid of that minus 14. I'm going to go plus 14. Plus 14. I will have a new equation that reads 2y equals 16. And my final step would be to divide by 2. So I will get y equals 8. As an ordered pair, negative 2 comma 8. So we did 1 through 11 odd. We also threw in number 4. And we also need to do 15 and 16. So on 15, we need to multiply one equation by negative 1. And the other one, leave it the way it is. That way the ends will cancel out. So the top equation is the same. And the bottom equation, if you change all the signs, you get negative 2m plus 8n equals 3. And now the system is ready to combine and cancel, combine and eliminate. 6 minus 2 is 4, and we're talking about m's. The n's really do cancel out. They eliminate. The equal sign comes down. You get a 6 right there. So then we divide by 4. Divide by 4. We're going to end up with m equals reduced by 2. It'll be 3 over 2. 3 over 2 is really 1.5. $3 divided by 2 is really 1.5. But I want to leave it as 3 over 2 right now because I still need to find the other answer. So I'm going to plug it in to the top one or the bottom one? Bottom. I mean, you can do top. But I think bottom's a little easier. Why? Check this out. 2m. Instead of m, I'm going to write 3 halves. And then minus 8n equals negative 3. Check this out, guys. When I multiply a number times a fraction with the denominator being the same as that number, what happens? They cancel. So this 2 and that 2 cancels. You just have a 3 left over. Even if you did not see that, you could still say, okay, 2 times 3 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. But it's easy to just cancel out those 2's. You have a 3 left over. Minus 8n equals negative 3. Keep going. Subtract 3. Subtract 3. We end up with negative 8n equals negative 6. The final step would be to divide by negative 8. Divide by negative 8. So your n value is equal to positive, and it's still a fraction though. A negative divided by negative is a positive. And 6 over 8 you could reduce by 2, and you'll get a 3 over 4. So your two answers are 3 halves and 3/4. 3 halves, comma, 3/4. And that is the answer, I hope, on number 15. Yeah, 1.5 and 3/4, 1.5 and 3/4. Final one right here, let's multiply the bottom one. You know what? I've always multiplied the bottom one by negative 1. Let me go with the top one by negative 1 this time, just to make it a little different. Multiply the top one by negative 1. You're going to end up with a negative 4a, a negative b, and a negative 2. And the bottom one, I'm just going to leave it the same. Positive 4a plus 3b equals 10. And now I'm able to combine the lines and cancel. The 4a and the negative 4a eliminate. A negative b plus 3b, that's 2b. Bring down the equal sign. And then negative 2 plus 10, that's 8. And if you were to divide both by 2, you're going to get b equals 4. So if b equals 4 and you want the a value, just plug in the 4 for b. I'm going to go with the top one. I'm going to rewrite the top equation. 4a plus b, but instead of b I put 4, equals 2. And then I subtract 4, I will have 4a equals negative 2. Final step would be to divide by 4, which means that a equals negative 1/2. You cannot divide 2 by 4, but you could reduce 2/4, it becomes 1/2. And of course it's negative. So those are your two answers for 16, negative 1/2 and 4, or negative 0.5 and 4. It's a lot of problems. Hope you guys understand this. It will be on the test this Friday.